Alright, welcome back guys, Toxic Zero, and this is attempt number 2 of this stupid recording. Honestly, the first attempt I got freaking interrupted by a FaceTime call from, you probably know if you've watched past videos, I should say. But anyways, welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Anyways, we're going to be doing a Showdown ranking. We're going to be ranking every single brawler inside a solo Showdown. And yes, Grom and Fang, who's not even out yet, are going to be in it. Even though Fang isn't out, I'm still going to rank him. But it'll be based on how good I think he's going to be. So obviously, I play solo Showdown a lot. You can tell by my Brawler skill luck series. I am pretty sure this will be pretty accurate. At least in your eyes. If it's not, then I quit. I'm just kidding. But let's start off right away. We got 5 tiers: broken, great, good, okay, and trash. And let's do it. So we're starting off with 8-bit, and I think 8-bit is okay. The only problem with 8-bit is he literally just is too slow. His shots are... If shots come at him, it's going to be hard to dodge because, you know, he's slow. He's only good when he has the super and the cheat cartridge gadget because then he can just teleport on people and just melt them because he's got a lot of health. Next up is Amber. I'm going to put her in okay with 8-bit. Now, the problem with Amber is she obviously can ramp up in cubes a lot, but the only problem is there's a lot of aggressive, like brawlers like Edgar or Primo. If they jump on Amber, Amber is screwed. I mean, you have no shot. Next up is Ash. Ash also goes in okay. He can be really strong if played in the right hands, but if he cannot build his rage bar up, you're going to struggle. And also, obviously when you try to ramp up in cubes, he doesn't really do a lot of damage. Fortunately for Mr. Barley, he's trash. Okay, Barley is not good in Showdown. He's only somewhat viable on Cavern Churn, but he just can't do anything. The gadget can make him okay against tanks, but against long-range brawlers, he gets destroyed because he can't really hide behind walls too well. And then when you have an aggressive brawler that comes up, you're kind of screwed. I mean, you have to play Barley really carefully to be successful, but it's just too hard to do that, especially in Showdown where you can easily get pinched. Now, B's pretty decent. She's obviously was broken when Coat was a thing, but honestly, even without it, she's still really good because if she gets her super and hits an enemy with it, it's basically a free kill if it's a tank, especially. And tanks are really good in Showdown. That's why B is also really good. Bell's good. She really doesn't have many counters. The only counter really is like Piper and very aggressive brawlers. But Bell with that gadget, if she hits the gadget, it's like a free kill. Gets a super on, it's gonna really screw over the person she hit. And yeah, Bell's really good in Showdown. BB, she's good, but she used to be honestly could have been in the broken category at one point, but there's a lot of, like, Primos in Showdown, and everyone knows that Primo absolutely destroys a BB. And so because of that, BB honestly could be great, even maybe broken, because she can ramp up in cubes. She's got the speed star power that literally lets her close the gap, and yeah. Now, Bo, just because of Cavern Churn, is it going in okay? Otherwise, he'd definitely be trash. Bo is just trash, okay? I sometimes hate going against Bo, but his shots are kind of hard to hit, and besides Cavern Churn, you really can't play him too much anywhere. Now, Brock, he's trash. Okay, Brock, obviously, with that new buff, made him so broken, but then when they nerfed his projectile speed, he became trash. He just sucks. Yeah, it's so hard to hit his shots. Just don't play Brock anymore. He's so bad. Okay, Bull, he's really good if he gets the Stomper gadget, because if he gets a super, he can use it, then use the Stomper gadget, kill someone, and then basically 3 times. That's like a free kill every time. You just got to be careful against brawlers like Gene or Ems that have the knockback, or brawlers that can knock you back in general, because if they do, it's going to be a problem. For Buzz, you'll be the first one to go unbroken. If Buzz literally gets a super off of you, you're screwed. You can't do anything, especially with the first star power. You're screwed, and if he gets you at full distance, you're screwed. If he's got the second star power, he'll literally charge it faster, and he hits you, you're screwed. Yeah, okay, Buzz is just straight up broken. Byron, you would think Byron would be so bad in Showdown because he's supposed to heal his teammates, but his super is so good. It's so easy to hit. And, yeah. Okay, next brawler we got Carl. So Carl is trash. Okay, Carl is not good against the aggro brawlers. And his super just gets knocked out way too easily. Carl's trash in Showdown right now. He used to be really good, but now, not anymore. Colette also trash. Even though it's really tanky, Colette just sucks in general. She just, especially with her low damage, just can be such a pain to get it out. Okay, Colonel Ruffs is probably the most underrated brawler because against those, I'm going to put him in okay because it just, he really lacks the support role in Showdown. But he's really good with the sandbags, and that's why he's only okay. Honestly, can be played on any map. Colt is honestly pretty underrated as well in Showdown. He's pretty good. If you can hit his shots, he could be very dangerous, but the only problem with Colt is it can be really difficult to hit his shots. Crow also goes in the broken category. It's not really a meta that favors him too well, but with a slow and toxin gadget, you can slow down a lot of tanks. And Crow with his super is also really good. I think Daryl as well. I think Daryl might go in the broken because if he gets a super off, it's basically a free kill every time. And yeah, for Dynamite, I'm going to put him in okay. He's not trash because if he lands a satchel charge gadget, you're screwed. You literally are dead. Nothing you can do about that. But obviously there's brawlers like Mortis or Primo or Edgar that can just straight up jump on him. And if he doesn't get that gadget off in time, yeah, you're screwed. Edgar. I mean, this is kind of an obvious one. Edgar is one of the best brawlers in Showdown. He ramps up in cubes so quickly, and if he does, you're going to have a hard time. You need to have hard counters to Edgar in order to beat him. And despite Edgar being better against squishy brawlers, he could still wreck tanks if he gets a lot of cubes because he can just heal non-stop. Now, Primo, it's not fair to rank teaming because, Primo, spin to win, gets a super. But if teaming didn't exist, he'd probably be good. But because if Primo does get a super and he jumps on you, you're screwed. I mean, you're going to just take a lot of damage. But if Primo doesn't have a super, it's just like just chase him down. You're going to kill him every time. Now, Ems is pretty good. It's a lot of tanks, and Ems just absolutely wrecks the tanks. Also really good at ramping up in cubes as well. So, I mean, that's a pretty easy choice for me. Okay, so Fang. So Fang isn't out yet. But just by looking at him, his super looks broken. He's got a lot of health. The only problem with it is I don't believe that Fang, even though he's a melee brawler, he's like one of the only melee brawlers that doesn't have splash. He can only hit one target. But he does a lot of damage, and if he can jump on a brawler with his super, you're literally going to kill him and almost get your super back. I think Fang is just going to break Showdown out of two like Edgar. Because Fang looks like he can destroy an Edgar, especially with that super. He can just cycle it over and over, and he charges it based on damage he takes. I think Fang's going to break the Showdown meta. Frank is only good with teaming. I'll put him in good because if he gets that gadget off, ooh, that's going to struggle. That's going to suck. Yeah, you don't want to get hit by the gadget. You're going to literally die. Gale is underrated in Showdown. Like Gale's Gale's best game mode is definitely Showdown, in my opinion, because of tanks. There's a lot of tanks in Showdown right now, and Gale can destroy them with his Twister gadget and his super and the slowing star power, the freezing snow. Yeah, Gale. Unfortunately for my boy Gene, I like Gene a lot, but he's not that great. He's okay. He's good against tanks, but the only problem with Gene is he just lacks the damage, and he cannot ramp up in cubes. That's his biggest problem. Griff is honestly good, especially with that first star power. He can literally melt through the tanks with his super and his main attack. But if you don't have that first star power, you're going to struggle. Okay, Grom obviously is broken. He's not crazy in Showdown, but I'm going to put him in great because literally he's an auto-aim thrower, and if you get behind a wall, you're screwed. I mean, his gadget too, good for scouting and tanking a shot. Jackie is okay. I'm going to put her in good, but she's not crazy in this meta. I mean, in the Showdown meta. She's honestly underrated in like the entire game, but in Showdown, she's really only good on more grassier maps like Feast or Famine, where she can get into the middle and just destroy. But because honestly, Jackie's not too crazy against the tanks. Like if a Daryl rolls on Jackie with Counter Crush, like if you don't use Counter Crush, then you're making a mistake because you should be using Counter Crush. Jessie is so bad in Showdown. Her turret takes her way too long to get it, and if she does get it, she can't really utilize it too well. Leon is definitely broken in Showdown. He literally gets a super. If he gets a super, he's just going to go hunt down someone that's squishy and literally destroy them. Lola obviously was broken on release. I think she's good. I don't think she's great because of that nerf to her super, but she's definitely still good. She's got a lot of health, and she's better against the longer range brawlers because of her gadget, but if brawler like tanks jump on top of her, she's going to struggle a little bit. Now, Lou Lou's just not that good. His shots are too hard to hit. I'm going to put him in okay, because if you get the freeze off, it's like a free kill, but it's just so hard to hit his attack. That's my only problem. Okay, for Max, Max is pretty decent in Showdown. She's not crazy, but she can get away from tanks with her super, but she's better against the longer range brawlers because, it's just really hard to hit her. And yeah, Meg, it's tough to rank Meg because she's so good in 3v3, but Showdown, I don't know. I don't think Meg's too great in Showdown for two reasons. One, Meg honestly needs to get her super, and there's a lot of Showdown brawlers that can literally cancel it or prevent her from getting it, even though she can just pop off the tanks, especially with gears. It just, she can't really ramp up in cubes without getting that super. That's why I like to straight up go aggressive and get it. But if you make one failed move, you're screwed. Now, unfortunately for Mortis, he's good in Showdown, but there's just one problem with Mortis, and he struggles against tanks. If he doesn't get his super, which he doesn't really get it often, he's going to get destroyed. And that's the problem with Mortis. Now, Mr. P is obviously trash. Mr. P is so bad in Showdown. You literally put Mr. P in a game mode that's literally mainly aggressive brawlers and assassins. Mr. P has no shot at freaking winning. He's just going to get destroyed instantly. Now, we got my favorite brawler, Nani. She's good on longer range maps, but the only problem is she's not that great against aggressive unless having a super. I think she's good. If she ramps up in cubes, boy, she's dangerous. And also return to sender against the longer range brawlers. Ooh, that's going to be tough. Nita's just not that great. I hate playing Nita. And Nita just isn't very good in Showdown. I don't think she's that great in general. Because if she gets Roost, she's kind of golden. But the problem is, her range is short. She's only really good against tanks. And even though tanks are pretty decent in Showdown, they can still destroy Nita. Pam is probably another underrated one. Because with that scrap sucker gadget, she literally can just waste ammo on brawlers like Edgar or anyone, and then just straight up run up to them, kill them. Penny is just trash in Showdown. I mean, the only map you really can play her on is Acid Lakes. She's actually honestly pretty underrated on that map, but the rest, the Showdown, she sucks. She's only good when there's boxes grouped together. She doesn't deal enough damage. Her projectile speed is slow, and her super is kind of useless. Piper's okay. Piper's good on the long range maps, but the only problem with Piper is that, honestly, if brawlers get on top of her, you don't have the super or gadgets. Like, Piper can be good and played in the right hands. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to put her in good. She can be good against longer range brawlers, but tanks, I mean, she can also be good against, so I can't really say Piper's trash. Like, Piper can be pretty good as Nani at some point, so. Poco, trash. Honestly, too much aggressiveness, even though Poco with Screeching Solar actually can be pretty good in Showdown. Can't ramp up in boxes, but he can at least do area damage, and also he does no damage. Now, Rico, even though he's got like similar attacks to Colt, Rico is just only good on Cavern Churn. He just is not that great on the rest. Because of that bouncy castle gadget, you can basically free heal and bounce all the shots, but yeah, you really can't do that great with Rico unless you're playing Cavern Churn. That's why he goes in okay, otherwise he'd probably go in trash. Rosa, even though there's a lot of tanks, I think she's good because if you get the unfriendly bushes and the speed gear, woo, it's gonna be trouble. She's honestly pretty good on any map. Just don't play her on the really long range maps where there's like no grass. But you need to have at least some grass. It doesn't matter how long the map is. If there's grass on the map, Rosa's gonna do pretty good. Sandy is also underrated with that sweet dreams gadget. He can just turn on a fight around. He's good against Edgar, which is most picked. He can be decent. I believe he can knock Buzz out of his super if he hits it on time. You just gotta be careful though, because Sandy doesn't deal a lot of damage. But if you gotta save those gadgets. So Shelly, honestly, despite she's actually pretty good in this meta. Like this is like the best we've seen her. She's not like a bottom 5 brawler in the game right now, but Shelly's always been really good in Showdown, and especially with clay pigeons. If you get the slowing star power off and you can just auto-aim clay pigeons 3 times, I mean, she's going to cycle her super. A lot of tanks, so you know Shelly's going to be really good. Spike's life plant gadget has definitely improved his viability in the Showdown meta. He's good against tanks, and he's also good against long-range brawlers that don't have a lot of damage, but so bad against brawlers with area splash damage like Sandy, who can just straight up run up to him and 3-tap him. Okay, so for Sprout, Sprout is just not good in Showdown at all. He only has somewhat of a viability on Cavern Churn, but you can't really play Sprout in Showdown because his shots are hard to hit, he doesn't deal that great of damage, and he gets destroyed by aggressive brawlers, which are very common in Showdown. Now, Squeak, he's got a lot of health, but the thing I really do like about Squeak is if you auto-aim 3 shots, they're kind of basically screwed. The only problem with Squeak is his attack delay, so most of the time you're going to end up trading. Stu is just broken in general. Honestly, I hate facing Stu. I love playing Stu, but he's just way too good in Showdown. He's also really good in 3v3. Surge, also with a stupid gadget and his super, just can counter brawlers like Edgar, and Stu. I mean, not really Stu, but it just depends on how you play. And for Terra, I'll put her in good. She used to be great, but with that gadget nerf, brawlers like Stu now only need 1.5 ammo instead of 3. And Stu's really good, so you really don't have to worry. And then Tick, he's trash, okay? Only good on Cavern Churn. He's so bad. Don't play Tick and Showdown unless you're playing Cavern Churn. But yeah, that's it. Here's the tier list, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.